happening. So we really need to call on our community now and say, please help us. Please help us get through this for the kids.
If somebody wants to help, how they can get in touch with you?
You can go to our website, which is www.rotariescampflorida.org, and there's a Help Me page, and you go to that and you can make donations. That's probably the best thing that you can do right now. We are looking at a work day. We'll be sending that out to the community to try and get some of the rest of the stuff picked up. But it really has devastated us. I've been here 10 years, and we've been through several other storms. Nothing like this. This was horrendous.
With this help, do you think you can open soon?
I think so. Yep, I'm hoping so. We have a big kids camp in December, Camp Hugs, with Faces of Courage. All of their children coming in for Santa, and I'm hoping that we be ready for that. And that's the first weekend in December. So we're praying and hoping that we can get things done by then. I think if we get more help like this, I think we'll get there.
Thank you.
Yeah. Oh God.
I'm good in your pad.
If this one's a small one, let's see if you can get through that hole in. I think it'll fall that way. Think so? Let me just screw it up there. I'll listen to Brado, just do it.
Can't let my husband see this.
What's that?
Can't let my husband see this. He'll want me to help around the house.
You say, hey, what about our yard? Huh?
Back left area clear?
All clear.
On the next one too, if you can.
As this most recent storm approached, Hurricane Helene, the state had staged over 50,000 linemen, hundreds of pumps, generators, flood protection devices, you name it, and even had to do an emergency debris mission to help the local governments with debris left over for Helene. So the Florida Department of Transportation removed 270,000 cubic yards of debris leading in to Hurricane Milton from some of the harder hit areas, including some of the places in Sarasota County. But the result was now we are here. The storm basically was still in our state at this point last week. It was just leaving on Thursday afternoon on the east coast of Florida. But because of the pre-staging of resources, there's been close to 4.2 million power restorations, and that is definitely a record time for that many power restorations. And then you had thousands of responses, search and rescue. Some of it was things that were very life-threatening. Some of it was you continued to have flooding inland even after the storm. And so we went and got a lot of people to safety, particularly elderly. So all in all, it was great work, and people continue to still do good work right now. We have worked very closely with Sarasota County throughout the disaster, including by providing a number of comfort stations, which have restrooms, showers, laundry trailers. We also did a portable laundry washing facility, trucks of food buckets, 4 shower trailers, 4 restroom trailers, a bunch of generators, a bunch of Starlinks, truckloads of ice, water, MREs. We did 4 search and rescue teams and 15 FWC officers, including airboats and shallow draft vehicles. Right now, we have points of distribution at Bayside Community Church as well as Ringling Redskins. And then there's a disaster recovery center, which these things are just now being set up. That's a federal, for the federal benefits. So the DRC is at Sarasota Municipal Auditorium. Obviously, one of the things that becomes very difficult when you have these disasters is the schools, and making sure that, well, one, sometimes schools can get damaged just like anything else. Most of them are pretty good, but you can have damage. And then people that work for schools can have damage and can have problems in their own private life. And then all the kids that you have to worry about, and sometimes they have been displaced depending on the severity of the storm. And so we've worked really hard understanding the challenges to work with our school districts to make sure that we can get the students back to normal as quickly as possible following these disasters. And so today we are, as I said, less than a week away from when the storm left the state. And all school districts in the state of Florida are back to normal operations today. So that's a very quick turnaround. That's a very good job. Here in Sarasota is where the storm made landfall. Late Wednesday night obviously did significant damage, but yet here we are back on duty. So I want to thank everybody that's been involved with that. I know it's not easy, but I know that the students will be better off for it. But as important as that is, we also recognize that you have different needs. I mean, I remember with Hurricane Ian, some of the teachers, they lost their cars. Some of them had real serious damage to their homes. There's all kinds of things that needed, and yes, we have our pods. We have different things that the state does. I know your folks locally have been working hard. We are approved for things like individual assistance through FEMA. Now, recently, I just announced in Tampa, we got approved for the transitional housing, the TSA, which allows people that don't have access to housing to be able to do things like hotel rooms, which, in this area, you probably have some options. Some of the more rural areas, it's not as effective. So you have all that, but then there's even outside all those resources that are being brought to bear, there's other things that are necessary. And so one of the things we do to try to fill in those needs is use the Florida Disaster Fund to be able to support private organizations, charitable organizations who are helping folks in need. And so we did $100,000 donations to a number of the police and fire organizations to be able to help their members. And I'm pleased to be here today to say we're going to do the same thing for the schools and for teachers. So we are doing, through the Florida Disaster Fund, $100,000 to each of the support organizations for the counties hardest hit by Hurricane Milton. So Hillsborough, Manatee, Pasco, Pinellas, and Sarasota, their education foundations will all receive each $100,000. And so that's really good. That's helpful. We're also pleased to announce today that just as we did following Hurricane Helene, where we signed an executive order to make sure that people would be able to vote in the upcoming November election, we are doing a similar executive order that expands the counties to include the counties that were hardest hit by Hurricane Milton. And so we are adding Collier, Glades, Highlands, Indian River, Manatee, Orange, Pasco, Pinellas, Polk, Sarasota, and St. Lucie counties, allowing the supervisors of elections to make, reasonable, modest but reasonable accommodations if they have had damage to any of their voting sites because of the storm, and to be able to ensure that folks have an ability and a place to be able to cast their ballot. And so I think that there's obviously going to be a need in some of those counties. Some of the others may be in good shape depending on how they fared for the storm. I know they were looking at that over the weekend and into this week. So we're happy to be here for these great announcements with the Education Foundation. We're going to hear from Manny Diaz and Terry Connors, and then we're going to pass out the check. So, Manny.
Thanks, Governor, and good morning. Great to be here in Sarasota today with this announcement that our schools are back open. First, I want to thank the Governor for the work he's done over the last several weeks and his leadership. Not just one major hurricane, but two major hurricanes in a row, and this provides a challenge. And there's no one better that I can think of to lead our state during these tough times. And as you can see, we have our schools open again less than 1 week after the storm. Thanks to the Governor's leadership and the swift work of our agency partners, Florida Division of Emergency Management, Florida Department of Transportation, we've been able to get schools back in record time. And you have to understand the work and the leadership of the Governor of having our agencies been able to work together. Department of Emergency Management provide things like generators and any other things that are needed at schools, but also FDOT and getting involved in clearing the roads. People forget that when kids are going to come back to school, you have bus routes, and you have to make sure that it is safe to bring the kids back. So I appreciate the partnership and, again, the Governor's leadership. I'd also like to thank the linemen who've been working to restore the power, who've come from all over the country. And, again, the Governor's leadership in staging these linemen and being able to be here and restore power to hospitals, to nursing care facilities, to the general population, but especially the schools. Without the power, we can't get our kids back. 50 districts announced closures in preparation for Hurricane Milton. Essentially most of the peninsula. Exactly a week after Hurricane Milton made landfall as a major hurricane, I'm proud again that we're here announcing that all school districts in the state are welcoming back their students. Sarasota, Manatee, Hillsborough, Pinellas, and Pasco all had impacts to their schools, and their superintendents that are here today with us did tremendous work. I want to thank you all of your staff, your entire team for the work that you did to make sure that we can get our students back in school. A lot of these storm shelters during the time of the storm are the responsibility of our schools. Our schools are open up as shelters. So it's not only performing that duty manned by the staff at the districts, but also it's the aftermath. People forget, in order to open schools back up, you have to be able to get these shelters closed. You have to be able to get that clean and prepared for students to return. So that's an incredible work by our districts, by our superintendents, and your leadership to get that ready. School is obviously the best place for students especially after a hurricane. We've seen it. We've dealt with three hurricanes already during this school year. One right before school started in the Big Bend, then another one in the Big Bend, and then one hitting this area here. And it's important to get students back, not only because there's air conditioning and there's hot meals, and they have the ability to be with their teachers and have those conversations, but to really prepare themselves to get right back in academics so there's no academic loss. You know, we get all of these requests by national outlets asking us, Governor, what we're going to do for an alternative plan with our schools because of these hurricanes, and our answer is there's no alternative plan. We're getting them back in the school buildings and getting our teachers with them, getting them back to learn. So we wouldn't be able to do that without our dedicated teachers, and I'm proud to stand here with the governor as he is going to pass out these $100,000 checks to our foundation to help our teachers. This is incredible. I mean, you go through so many of these and you kind of get used to it, but really want to highlight the leadership of the governor and our teams here in Florida, and really being able to spearhead this recovery, and especially make sure that our kids are back in school. Thank you, Governor.
Thanks.
Well, first off, I want to thank the governor and the commissioner for coming here to Sarasota and for the Tampa Bay region. It has been a 1-2 punch over the last couple of weeks with Debbie and Milton, and we've had Helene as well. And so what happens in terms of preparation for schools, for the community to be shelters, what it takes to operate a shelter over the course of a hurricane, and what it takes to clean up and to restore stability in the community takes a lot of work and a lot of effort and a lot of people involved. So first, I want to thank the governor, first off, for staging the resources that we need, getting the power, getting the fuel, getting the food and water that we need to get back to normal in our community, but as well as our essential workers. Booker High School, right here where we're at today, serviced over 2,000 community members during the shelter, and Sarasota County hosted over 10,000 guests over that time. We served over 38,000 meals during that time. And so the contributions of what I call our essential workers, our administrators, our custodial staff, our food and nutrition services, who have to sacrifice their personal challenges and the things that they need to do to prepare for the storm and to prepare their families to go through the storm, is heroic in what they do. And so I just want to thank our essential workers. And I had the privilege to walk schools yesterday. Sarasota County got our students back in class as of yesterday. And as I walked those classes and I saw the smiles on the teachers' faces, on the students' faces, they wanted to be back. The stability, the routine that you bring back to a community when schools are in session, that is the stability of the community. And we just thank our teachers who are still facing personal challenges. Even through all of this, they're facing personal challenges. They've been impacted in so many different individual ways. And we've had teachers who've lost their vehicles, that's lost their homes, that are suffering with food shortages, with the spoilage of power outages. And so we just thank you, Governor, for recognizing and appreciate the work that you've done to help us get back on our feet, because Sarasota County will get back, as well as our Tampa Bay region will be resilient. We will recover. We'll be stronger than ever, just like we have through Ian, through Irma, through Debbie, through Helene. Floridians are strong. And it's because of the support of the governor and all of the partners, the community partners, as well as our teachers and staff. So thank you for being here.
Okay. All right, so people want to come up and take the check. So Hillsborough Education Foundation, Manatee Education Foundation, Pasco, Pinellas, and Sarasota. Well, we know there's a lot of needs that are going to continue to be, come to the forefront, and we're going to work whatever tools we have to be able to respond. We are obviously We work to mobilize state resources and state agencies as appropriate. We've worked hard to qualify our residents for different types of federal assistance, but we are going to harness the ability through this disaster fund to work with charitable organizations. We just did a $1 million donation across a wide range of organizations in Tampa that are going to help people throughout this entire region on everything from providing hot meals to folks, to helping children with special needs, to helping elderly. I mean, you name it, they're doing it, and we're going to continue to have all hands on deck. Okay, thank you. Any questions? Yes. The chance of me virtue signaling for people in the media is 0. So do not count on that. I don't subscribe to your religion. And it's just a tired refrain and song and dance. I get you have an agenda. I understand that. I think you should be more honest about what that would mean for people, taxing them to smithereens, stopping oil and gas, making people pay dramatically more for energy. We would collapse as a country. So this whole idea of climate ideology driving policy, it just factually can't work. And so in Florida, our energy is going to be affordable and reliable. That's what you're going to do. That's the only way you can adequately respond to things like we just saw with the storms to get people hooked back up. In terms of the federal flood insurance, we have so there's two things. One, at a disaster recovery center, you can do flood claims at the federal DRC. Now, it's not run by the state. This is obviously a federal program. You can do that. You can also pursue federal flood claims at the insurance villages that are being run by the state CFO, Jimmy Petronas. So that will also have private wind carriers as well. And there was some wind damage from Milton. I would say in this area, Helene up the Tampa Bay was almost entirely from the surge, which it can also be normal homeowners, but a lot of flooding inland with Milton. So if you go to either those federal flood insurance disaster recovery center, or you can go to the insurance villages, they can work through that. Yeah, we'll review everything. We always do that. We're still in hurricane season now. We don't see anything, hopefully, on the horizon. But I think you just never know. And this does go through the end of November. Now, as we get deeper into October and into November, the chance of having a major hurricane does go down pretty dramatically, but you can still have something. So we're going to continue to watch for that, and then continue to look to see, what could be done. I will tell you that, clearly where you look at how the power gets restored now versus what that was 10 years ago, you're talking about way, way faster. And part of that is preparation. Part of that is, quite frankly, being willing to do mutual aid. Part of that is, we've created a culture where I think people want to do that. I mean, the electrical co-ops, they got everyone 100% before anybody else did. That would not have been true 10 years ago. So they're bringing people in, and I think they did a really good job, and others did a really good job too. So you just look and you see, kind of how do you respond to some of these things. So that'll be done at the appropriate time. Okay, thanks everybody. Take care.